I did a monotype run in Ruby with only normal types a while ago and want to use Seviper, the natural enemy of Zangoose. I think Zangoose is quite a lot stronger, but Seviper is very good as well. Poison type Pokemon are on average very diverse in stats. In Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire are some of them available, and most of them are quite strong like Crobat and Tentacruel. The early game might be rough. With that said, let's begin. With the universal Pokemon randomizer I changed Torchic to Seviper. This is the only way to have a poison type Pokemon before the first gym without evolving. This way the rival May has a Mudkip, which should be the strongest starter for her to use. I add Boots, the Seviper, to the team. The first rival battles is usually super easy. I leveled Boots up to 7, learning Lick helps a lot. First setting up Wrap and then Paralyze with Lick is nice for ongoing damage, the rival isn't really an issue. After this very hard battle I received the Pokédex and some Pokeballs and can finally start hunting down some poison types and the gym badges. Unfortunately there are no poison types before the first gym without using non-poison types in battle, but I will catch a lot of Zigzagoons to start getting some nice items. I wanted to try the gym leader without Bite first, but let's see how crazy it is. But I think it's actually impossible to get there without hitting level 10 first. But don't quote me on that. Anyhow, the Team Aqua guy has no chance against Boots and the villain team storyline begins. I usually do the battles in the first gym of every game, but I feel like this is too easy. I can one-shot most Geodudes. Granted, they are quite underleveled, but I have never seen a Pokemon beating them up this consistent. I think the gym will not be as bad as I thought. Yeah, Roxanne is Rock type specialist. Similar to Brock, using only nasty Rock types. Fortunately, Boots has Bite. Geodude can be dangerous if it hits a Rock Tomb too many, but one hits while another misses, and I can safely KO it with 4 bites. Removing the potion Roxanne has. A very good start, I feel like I can do it. Nosepass is way more tanky than Geodude is, and for some reason I went for the paralysis, but it took so long. I could have beaten it with Bite instead. That looks quite bad, but I had a strategy in mind, I promise. Anyway, it took a long time, but after several bites and a flinch, the Mono Rock type goes down. Roxanne is defeated and it was way quicker than I expected it, to be honest. Especially considering the normal type run, the battle alone was over 20 minutes with 4 Pokemon instead of this single one. The next poison type Pokemon I can catch is a Tentacool. Considering Tentacools are very strong, this will be a real tank, and of course Tentacools are one of the strongest Pokemon you can get in this game. In Granite Cave is also another teammate waiting, Cappy the Zubat. Zubats, similar to Tentacools, are one of the stronger Pokemon to get, especially fully evolved. There's one Pokemon which has a poison type but doesn't start out with it, and that is Dustox. To get it I have to catch a Wurmple and evolve it to first Cascoon and then Dustox. But how do I do that without using it in battle? I get the EXP share from Mr. Stone, attach it to a Wurmple and just level it up that way. I caught a Wurmple and evolved it into Cascoon and now into Dustox. Upon evolving it learns Confusion and I have high hopes for this one. Brawly is a fighting type gym leader and that might be the single worst typing against me. I used Dress first against Machop. It can use Seismic Toss, so I assume my Dustox will go down quite fast. But it won't be a problem. I heavily underestimated the bulkiness of Dress, and especially against fighting types. It double resists, so Brawly can't use any moves besides Seismic Toss. It went for Karate Chop later, but it did no damage. And when it was time for the Super Potion, I just crit and defeat Machop. That's a good first try. Brawly's ace Margohita has Sand Attack and Knockoff, so it could get a bit dangerous, considering my low HP. But Margohita uses a lot of Bulk Ups, completely useless against Confusion, and Knockoff is considered a special attack in this game. It takes a lot of time and the Super Potions are used here. I wasn't sure if I was going to win with Dress alone, and due to the Bulk Ups nobody else can defeat them, but if you consider the damage for Knockoff, it's pretty easy to tell this battle will be done, and Dress will win. Which is crazy considering I started the battle at level 12, but if you have the counter, you have the counter. Brawly's done, I get a second badge and I believe the easiest battle in the entire game is over. The next part is very interesting. First comes the rival battle. I think that one is pretty easy considering I received more teammates right before. Just north of Slateport City is a very interesting encounter, Gulpin. I'm not sure if I ever played one before, but I will try it out in this run. Also on Route 110 is another encounter, and that is Oddish, a very well known Pokemon, that's for sure. The rival battle was way harder than I expected. I leveled up a bit and thought that I was too high already. First the Shroomish against my gloves. Sludge deals a lot of damage, but Sunspore can be very annoying. Mega Drain was used and it's actually funny to me, I thought Liquid Ooze was a bad ability. Paralysis was activated once, but Shroomish went down in the end. Marshtomp is part ground and I wanted to use Yawn here, but it's faster and just KOs. Scarf enters the battle and I use Absorb in Marshtomp's bite. I got scared and used Poison Powder, hoping to survive the bite hit, and I did. Just barely. My Oddish goes down in the next turn, but it did enough so that Shorts can absorb the experience points. Last is Numel and usually Tentacools are really good against it, but the first water type attack is on level 25, which is so late. Supersonic hits the first time I used it and it worked out so nicely, getting a lot of free turns and free damage. Poison Sting was used so many times, but no poison, very sad. In the end, Shorts goes down and I use Cappy next. Astonish doesn't deal a lot, but it works out for me, defeating Numel in the end. The rival is defeated and I was shocked on how little damage my team actually does. I don't want to train up a lot, so let's continue to the next gym. I made a mistake. Well, mistake is a bit too much. See, I used Zigzagoons while leveling just in a team for pickup. They got a lot of good stuff, like nuggets and rare candies. I got so many while leveling in the early game that I can get easily over 80k money. But why is it important? The next gym leader is Magneton, a steel type, and I have a Seviper which can learn Flamethrower, and that TM is available in the game corner. I'm looking forward to the gym fight. But before I can face the next big challenge, I can catch another Pokemon, and that is Roselia. I think I will use it in a similar way to Venusaur in the last one, just with Stunspore instead. So let's finally check out the Watson battle. I tested it once or twice before, so here's the first real try. First Magnemite against my boots. I feel like I started the battle wrong, but it will work out fine. Magnemite is faster and tries to paralyze me, but I have a Cherry Bay for that situation ready. Flamethrower doesn't KO and Watson heals his Pokemon back up, but in the end it seems it was just range and another Flamethrower KOs it. Volthop is next and I switch into Skirt to get a little setup and maybe get to Magneton to annoy it a bit with Stunspore. But no, self-destruct and my Roselia is down and out. Now comes Watson's Ace Magneton and my setup to win. I use Gloss and it's Yawn. For some reason Watson timed it perfectly so that Gloss goes down in the same turn Magneton goes to sleep. I just use Boots again and press on Flamethrower until Magneton goes down. It is faster, so technically it could wake up and defeat me, but it never did. Several levels behind, still got the win. Watson is down and I have to admit that thanks to Team Zigzagoon for picking up whatever nuggets people left on the ground, thanks. There are 2 encounter left and both are available in the Fiery Path. Grimer is very interesting, it is quite bulky and can learn a lot of good moves, and I will think about on how to use it later. The last encounter took an insane amount of time to find it. It has only a 2% encounter rate. It's coughing. I get the TM for Secret Power, which is a very strong Fire Red and Leaf Green, but only okay here. I don't know why, but I am able to get a lot of good moves already. In Fallarbor Town is a TM for Dig, which can be very important considering the next gym leader is specialized in fire types. And Meteor Falls is Team Aqua again and talking nicely to a scientist. But Team Magma comes in and Aqua fled the scene. I think this wasn't so nice as I thought it was. Before I start the next chapter, I want to evolve Zubat into Golbat. Nice upgrade, but Golbats will usually only be used 1 level. Most of the time Friendship is already high enough, so it evolves further into Crobat. I wasn't sure if this is an overkill for the next big battles, but I will see. Archie is Team Aqua's leader and the first time I battle him is the easiest version. I start with Gloves against Mightyena to use Yawn and then Rock Smash to maybe get the lucky defense drop. I don't. Now I switch into Boots to get some damage going. Poison Tail doesn't deal too much and I want Screech in case Boots is not good enough for Mightyena. The battle was very close and Boots wins with only a few HP remaining. But Mightyena is down, that is the important thing. Golbat is very strong and I let Boots go here to use Shorts next. It has Ice Beam from the game corner, sponsored by Team Zigzagoon, but it doesn't deal a lot of damage. Confusion is always very annoying to deal with, but I just try to push through and hope for the best. Unfortunately it gets very close and Shorts loses. Cappy is here for revenge and hits into the Super Potion. I have to admit, Crobat against a Golbat is not a fair match, but I'm not here for fairness. In the end, Golbat goes down and that leads Archie's ace Sharpedo. It is part dark and I'll try Leech Life first, but the damage is a lot lower than Wing Attack, so I switch back to it. This takes only a few turns and Sharpedo goes down, leaving Archie with nothing left to battle. He will get a lot stronger later on and the path is clear to the next gym. Also, don't forget to grab the meteorite here. I can trade it in for a return in Featherbird Town. The next gym leader is Flannery, the fire type gym leader. Her team is quite bad actually. Only Tentacool can be dangerous. I start with Shorts against the first Slugma. Leveling up 2 more levels would make this battle so much faster, but I thought it's doable either way. The first Slugma does not have any relevant moves against the Tentacool, but I don't have any either. After a long grind and the first Hyper Potion, Slugma goes down. Could have been faster if Acid had more defense drops, but it's fine. The second Slugma does have a good move against me, but it used Light Screen and Sunny Day first, giving me a lot of time to deal some damage. But it doesn't really matter, and I go down after 2 rock slides. I chose Cappy next and hit with Swing Attack to KO Slugma, leaving only Flannery's ace Tentacool. This one is a bit tricky, but I have a plan. Of course, my Crobat gets hit by Body Slam to paralyze and then goes down to Overheat. The damage is actually quite crazy. Now comes my initial plan. Gloves has Yawn and it uses one here. I wanted to use the damaging move next, but Sludge could poison, while Rock Smash will not have a defense drop due to Tentacool's ability. Skirt my Roselia has Leech Seed to slowly but surely grind Tentacool down. Mega Drain doesn't deal a lot, but it is my only damaging move. When Tentacool wakes up, it uses Body Slam for some damage and I get a chance to use Stun Spore in the Hyper Potion turn. But a turn after, Overheat is used and KO Skirt in one go. All I have to do is use Boots now and hope Body Slam doesn't screw me over. But after one Poison Tail I realized Bite should be better because of the chance to flinch. It takes 2 to beat Tentacool. Flannery is defeated and this was my first try. I thought I had to level up to 25 for my Tentacool to learn Bubble Beam, but I didn't need it. Inferior Pass is a spot where I need the boulder moving ability to continue, and the grand prize is a TM for Toxic. Doesn't sound too great now, but Dress learned Protect a while back and combining these 2 moves is very strong for the next gym leader. Norman, the normal type gym leader, is very interesting. He has 2 Slarkings which have Truant and I have the answer. I used Dress against the first Slarking and I'm sorry, the strategy is very effective but looks very boring. I use Protect in the turn Slarking can move and Toxic to set up the damage. Every other turn I use Psychic even though the damage is very low. This takes a lot of turns, but in the end I will win, and Norman can't do anything about it. Truant is just a bad ability. Never use it if you can. I believe there are only 2 Pokemon who can even have Truant, so it doesn't really matter now, does it? Now comes Vigoroth, I need Dress and switch into Gloves, hoping for a miracle. But there was none, and Gloves goes down without doing any moves. Skirt has the ability to turn the tide of battle. First using Stun Spore, this powers up Facade, but it's still better than nothing. Afterwards I use Leech Seed to get the passive damage going. Skirt is still standing and can use a nice Mega Drain or 2, and then goes down to the very strong Vigoroth. Cappy might be able to do it, and I try to go for some damage, getting a lot of damage in return. I realize Bite might be better because of Flinch, but Vigoroth doesn't care about any of that and destroys Cappy easily with Facade. Boots has to carry it now, and I use a lot of different moves to get Vigoroth down, but the damage is just not good enough. It gets healed once to full again, and I hope to get it low before going down. But in the end, my Seviper goes down in the exact turn where Leech Seed will beat Vigoroth. That was very intense. Last is Lacking and I use Protect, but it was a Truant turn for some reason. I don't know how this exactly works, but now I do know that switching out might be a better play overall, using Skirt as a pawn to get Dress back in again. Now the Toxic Protect storm can begin, and yes, it is as exciting as it gets. I am severely underleveled and this strategy was easily the best I have. The only downside is that I am even more underleveled for the next part of the game. I think I need to start building all the random trainer on the way, but let's see how it turns out. Anyway, Norman is defeated. I am still the normal only champion, and with that badge done, I get Surf and can finally explore the rest of the game. The first thing I do when getting Surf is going to the abandoned ship. He isn't a lot of good stuff, but TM Ice Beam. I know I got enough monies and have bought it already, but this is always one of those things on my list to get. The other one is going to New Morville City. Here are multiple interesting items, but the most important one is from Watson himself. He gives me the TM for Thunderbolt. My team right now can't use it, but if I decide to use my Coughing or Grimer, I have someone who can. At the weather station is Team Aqua again. I need to beat them up to proceed to the next gym. Unfortunately, the boss of this operation is very weak. She has a Carvana, which is very bad against my Skirt's Magical Leaf and the Mightyena. That one could pose a bit of trouble, but it doesn't. After I saw I did over half, I didn't need to worry anymore and just defeat it. The people of the weather station are so grateful, they give me a Pokemon. It is unfortunately not a poison type, so I just use the Mystic Water item for shorts and move on. I think this was by far the easiest rival battle I ever had. It's really embarrassing. First is Shroomish and I start with Boots. Of course I'm at a huge advantage and can use Poison Tail. It doesn't KO, but Headbutt deals only a little bit of damage. Another Poison Tail finishes the Mono Grass type off. Next is Numel, and I had planned to let Boots go here because of magnitude, but Numel just refused to use it and loses in 3 turns thanks to Bite. I used Poison Type first as a mistake, but it worked out fine. Last is Mace Ace March Jump, and I was really confused. It does not have a water type attack and used Takedown to KO me, which is fine. I use Skirt now and I move Magical Leaf, which is 2 times super effective and basically removes not 1 but 2 Marsh Tomps on the spot. The rival is defeated, and I think this might have been the easiest rival battle, besides the very first one of course. At level 26, Gloss evolves into Swellout. I think I never used one before, and so this might be interesting, but I have something special for the next battle, so look forward to it. And I let Shorts evolve into Tentacruel. I think the next battle is already as hard as it can get if I don't outspeed the opponent, but this way it may look too easy. I'm not sure if this was correct. The next gym leader is Winona, the flying type specialist, and I have to confess, I do believe this is a battle where I felt absolutely disgusting. First is Swallow and I start with Cappy. Wing attack deals a lot of damage, but double team can get quite annoying. Of course I immediately miss and Endeavor is used. Next turn I do get the KO with wing attack. The start is actually fine. Now Pelipper is bad. I needed an electric type move and have one on my team. I need to let my Crobat go first, but Pelipper refuses to deal damage, and in the end Water Gun deals so little I just switched into Sweater my coughing. I gave it Thunderbolt and it deals a huge amount of damage, KOing the Pelipper. Next is Skarmory and I went for more damage, but I get a lot in return. It took some turns, but I went down to like 5 HP and got the KO in Skarmory. That felt amazing. Last is Winona's Ace Altaria. Of course Sweater goes down immediately. Now to my strategy. I wanted to use Gloss for Yawn and then go down to Earthquake to use Shorts for Ice Beam. But let's just say, it didn't work out as I intended it. Altaria used Dragon Dance and the following Earthquake didn't KO. While Altaria was asleep, I switched into Shorts and unfortunately Altaria woke up the next turn and KOs my Tentacruel. That is very bad. I actually don't have an Ice type move anymore to KO it, but I have Dress. I pressed on Toxic and Altaria used another Dragon Dance. That was perfect and the only way to win at this point. I used Protect and then switch out, let the next Pokemon go down, use Dress again for another Protect and then switch. I do that a long time until Toxic took its prize and defeated Altaria. I know this is a very cheap strategy. After Shorts went down, it was my only way to victory, and I just tried and rolled with it. In the end, the victory is what counts. Winona is defeated and I get a new badge letting me use Fly outside of combat. The way to Lilycove City, the Pokemon Tower in between, a whole submarine chase, and after that, there's finally the next gym. I think the gym will be quite easy. There are only 2 Pokemon to be worried about, but I went ahead of myself. Let's do the rival battle first. The final battle against May is optional. That is basically the saddest thing in the entirety of Ruby and Sapphire. Her team is basically the same as before, just with Swallow on top. I made one stupid mistake, switching Skirt into Marshtom's Mudshot, but it was fine overall. There was actually no way May can beat me, but looking at the team, it gets really sad. Besides Swallow, everyone else could still evolve. That is horrible. Anyway, she's defeated and I can visit the department store, where I probably don't even need anything. After visiting Slate Port City for the grand opening of the submarine, I made a little detour to the Team Aqua hideout. There are some trainer, but all of them are skippable besides the final boss of the area, but he is super weak. As long as I can use Skirt. Carvana goes down in one hit, Sharpedo can't do anything relevant to my Roselia, and against Mightyena it depends a bit what moves it uses, like Swagger. But I actually can't lose this battle as long as I don't forget my Pokemon at the Pokemon Center. When he is defeated, I can finally move on to the next gym in Moss Deep City. This battle was super funny. I leveled everyone up to level 37, 5 levels below the gym leader, and then destroyed some trainers inside the battle with my Crobat. Tantalizer has Lunaton and Solrock, while I start with Cappy and Boots. They have both Bite and Crunch, but the opposing team can both use Psychic. The first one KOs Boots immediately and I can use Dress next, since it has Silver Wind, also super effective. Funnily enough, the next Psychics don't even KO my Pokemon on the spot, which was very interesting actually. And after several turns of Bite and Silver Wind, the opposing team goes down and the battle is over. I get the new badge and my Tentacruel can use Dive now. That way I'm able to get to the submarine and the next part of the game. After finding the submarine, there's a little dungeon to go through. I actually like this design with a little water and HM puzzle. Would like to see more of that in the future. Team Aqua's leader Archie. He would be a really tough opponent if he had more Pokemon or a higher level. Two in this team are at a lower level than the last gym leader. Anyway, I started with Skirt again using Stun Spore, because switching seemed like the better option, but I wanted to switch out after seeing Swagger. But unfortunately the Dark type was never able to use Swagger and went down way before that. Next is Crobat and I switch out into Shorts. The damage is a bit crazy, but I try to remove as many HP as I can until I am forced to use the next Pokemon. But Shorts was too strong and overcome Crobat in the end. Last is Sharpedo and I stayed in until Shorts goes down. Going back to Skirt, I can use Magical Leaf to beat the Shark. Archie is defeated, the last time I will see him in this run. I really like Archie as a character, too bad it's so few times we actually see him. After letting Kyogre free, the world is in big trouble. Big trouble. And only I, the Poison Master, can stop this madness. After arriving in Sootopolis City, I ventured deep into the Cavern of Origin to face the biggest evil the world has ever seen. And I used the powerful technique Smoke Ball to flee from the battle. And for some reason this was exactly what was needed to rescue everyone. Okay, I won't complain, the last gym is already here as well. I overestimated the gym leader so hard. Wallace is usually very tough, but today is a bit different. I start with Skirt against Love Disc. Using Magical Leaf, which is super effective, is actually enough to beat it. Next is Celio and I just wanted to test the damage and it was actually a lot. Aurora Beam was very scary, but somehow Roselia survived. It took 2 more turns thanks to Hyper Potion, but Celio goes down against a Grass type. Very interesting. Wallace's ace Milotic is super tanky and I actually need Skirt later on, switching into Gloves. For some reason I pressed on Yawn, which turned out to be a huge mistake. The strategy was already set and only I can screw this up, and this was one of those things. Gloves gets frozen, looks very bad, but actually this was totally fine. It took several turns by I thaw up and deal like no damage at all. After a while my Sweller goes down, I can now start a real battle. Dress is out and you know what time it is. Toxic hits and I need to stall as many turns as I possibly can, using Protect and some damaging moves, which are actually no damage. Milotic has Recover, but used it without any real pattern, which led to many of my Protects into nothing. While this battle rages on, I brewed a nice cup of coffee and played a round or two of Monopoly, but in the end Milotic went down. Now, Whiscash is actually the reason I wanted to keep Skirt alive. It can use Magical Leaf, which is double super effective, and Whiscash is destroyed immediately. Last is Seeking, and I can just push my damaging buttons. Magical Leaf actually deals a lot, but Rain Dance helps Seeking Swift Swim to outspeed everyone in my team. Skirt goes down, I use Shorts next, and for some reason I tried Acid, which is not good enough. I should have used Surf instead. Seeing Hornrill was quite scary, but it never hits and Seeking goes down. Wallace is defeated and I received the last badge of the run. Only 6 more battles to do. Oh, and of course the victory road itself. The real rival waits for one glorious final battle. Wally is a true rival in this game, and a lot has changed between the first battle and this one. He starts with Altaria and I with Shorts. It has Ice Beam, the strongest move to have at this point. I was quite shocked, it didn't KO while being double super effective. That's not a good sign for Drake. Super Potion is a joke and completely useless here. Gardevoir is next and I underestimated that one. Surf deals a bit of damage while it sets up Calm Mind. I think Waterfall is actually better here and it deals some damage but no flinch. Psychic is used and Shorts is defeated in one hit. I chose Cappy next and Wing Attack actually deals a lot of damage, but Psychic deals way more and Cappy is already down. For some reason I tried Dress next and it gets KO'd before I can even use a move. Very sad. My team is done, so I use Skirt next. It's fast and KOs with Magical Leaf. Fortunately it was really low in HP. Now comes Delcatty and I want to set up Leech Seed. Sing can be annoying, but I have Natural Cure which removes status afflictions when I switch out. He lost his here but got hit by Charm the second it entered the battle. I wanted to deal some damage, but that's now over. I use Yawn and get put to sleep again. Thought Sing had a low hit rate, but I guess I'm wrong. I switched back into Skirt, and for some reason it used Assist, got Thunderbolt and paralyzed. That is so terrible. I pressed on Stun Spore, don't know what I tried here, but it failed. It was already at sleep. Anyway, I go on and switch into Boots to KO with Poison Fang. I made it so hard for myself, completely unnecessary. Next is Magneton and I have Flamethrower for a lot of damage. And I actually mean I just KO'd it. Last is Roselia and that is also weak to Flamethrower. It doesn't KO in one hit, but easily in two. Wally is defeated and the battle was a bit harder than I first expected it to be, but only for Gadwa, who randomly killed 3 of my Pokemon. That was pretty intense, but that's it. Only the Elite 4 is left to do. I chose level 46 this time. The weakest Pokemon in the Elite 4 is at that level and I want to see how far it can go. I think I could beat everyone in the Elite 4, depending on the speed, but I will fail against Steven for sure. The first Elite 4 member is Sydney, a Dark-type trainer. He's usually pretty easy and I think this time is no different. He starts with Midiana and I lead with Skirt. Magical Leaf deals so much damage, it's crazy. Takedown is useless and I can KO the dog in the next turn with another Magical Leaf. Now comes Shiftry and I thought it uses Fake Out, but no. I throw in Boots. At the same moment Sydney uses Extra Sensory. That dealt over half, very bad move on my end. Boots has to go down now and I try Shorts next. Using Ice Beam, dealing a huge amount of damage, and Double Team was basically wasted since I hit the next turn to KO Shiftry. Cacturn is a bold move. I used Ice Beam and actually Freeze, but I'm pretty sure I didn't need it. After the full restore it goes down again and a turn after there's one Pokemon less on Sydney's team. Sharpedo is a bit more dangerous. I wanted to wait for Swagger before switching and it actually uses one directly in the first turn. Afterwards I switched into Skirt. It took some damage but Magical Leaf KOs in return. Last is Absol and I'm actually so low in HP, it doesn't really matter, I go for some damage and get destroyed in the same turn. I use Cappy now to finish it off and got it quite easily. Sydney is defeated and it was as easy as I expected it to be, but that's usually the case. The next one will be very hard to beat. Phoebe is a Ghost type Elite 4 member and her team is quite tanky, even if they don't look like that. She starts with Dusclops against my Boots. I use one Crunch and it actually critically hits for an easy KO. Now comes Sableye and I just went for some damage, which was very low actually. And Attract is one of those moves I will not play with. Switching into Gloss hoping for some action, but Psychic doesn't deal too much. Yawn for an easy setup and Psychic will KO the next turn. So I just go for some damage even though it was a bit dangerous because of poison. Now comes Cappy and I try to KO with Wing Attack, but I overestimated the damage and pushed it right into the full restore. I continued with the damage and got very low myself, but I got the KO anyway. Next is Banette and I thought Cappy was done, but while Shadow Ball deals a huge amount of damage, Psychic in return did not KO. I was a bit surprised but used it to my advantage and went in for the KO. Now comes Phoebe's ace Dusclops. My Shadow Ball does below half and her Shadow Ball KOs, but that was to be expected. I used Stress next, wanted to set up Toxic for some damage, and Dusclops used Confuse Ray, which means I just switched into Skirt. Shadow Ball hits and I was really shocked how much damage it did. Wanted to get some Leech Seed as well, but missed. Skirt went down without doing anything. Or so I thought. The poison stacked up a bit, and Boots was able to KO from that spot, defeating Dusclops. Last is the second Banette and I have nothing to do besides pushing some damage and it used Spite, which is the only move I don't care about. Using another Crunch for the victory. Phoebe is defeated and that means 2 Elite 4 members are down. 2 more to go. The next Elite 4 member is Glacier. Ice types are usually quite bad on defense, but maybe I am wrong. First up is Glalie against my Boots. Glalie is faster, that is unexpected, and Flamethrower does over half and burns. I get hit by a big Ice Beam, and I get the KO with Flamethrower right after. Hail is a bit annoying, but should be fine. Now comes Celio and I let Boots go, dealing some damage in the meantime. Gloss is now here to ruin Glacier's day. Yawn is used and I switch out immediately to Skirt. I need 2 sleep turns to set up 2 growth, increasing special attack. That should be enough to KO the water types in Glacier's team. The second Celio goes down in one hit as well, very nice. Now comes Warren and I need the one-hit KO or I get in big trouble. Luckily I get the one hit and there's only more Pokemon to defeat. I already know that Magical Leaf won't be enough, but I need the damage to win. After Skirt goes down, Cappy comes up and I made a huge mistake. Using Shadow Ball. Every single other move would KO, but I misclicked on the actual worst one. This could cost me the battle. Steel Ring is now finally used against Glalie while Full Restore is in effect. I get another one but go down against Ice Beam. It is in Full Restore range and Shorts has to make the best of it. Using first Surf and Heal turn and then Waterfall for maybe a flinch. But I think Surf does more damage and I go for the KO, defeating Glalie. The last Pokemon of Glacier is defeated and that leaves only one more Elite Four member to beat. The Drag Master Drake is here to stop me in the tracks to beat the game. But I have one weapon to beat him. Shelgon against Shorts is a very interesting start. I use Ice Beam which does not KO, but while Rock Tomb deals only a bit of damage, it lowers my speed. Still faster Ice Beam just KOs and the first one is down. Against Flygon I switch into Cappy because it uses Dig most of the time. I can basically counter it with Fly for a little bit more damage. It starts to set off Sandstorm for a lot of passive damage. And the moves Fly around. I use sometimes Wing Attack and sometimes Fly if the opponent uses Fly as well. After a long period of time my Crobat lands on nearly no HP to just barely KO Flygon. But Sandstorm will finish Cappy off, which is fine. Altara is next and I get a free switch into Shorts. I was confused, Ice Beam didn't KO but Takedown was used. Usually it should go for Dragon Dance first, but I'm not complaining. Just going for another Ice Beam and KO it instead. The next Flygon is here and I use an Ice Beam, which was so good it actually freezes Flygon. I didn't need this to happen, but I gladly take it anyway. Full Restore recharges Flygon, but Ice Beam gets it so low again and I'm faster, so it doesn't actually matter. Last is Drake's Ace Salamence. I need Shorts to beat it, so I switch into Boost since it has no real application on this battle. I was able to hit and for some reason I chose the worst move. Because a poison status would actually ruin it all. After Boots goes down I choose Gloves next. Needing Yawn setup is one of my specialties. After Yawn happened, I have to switch out into Shorts and hope to get at least one setup turn to KO. And I did. Ice Beam critical hits, but I'm sure it would have been enough anyway. Drake is defeated and the Elite Four is done. I am very scared of Steven. I believe it will need an insane amount of tries, if not even another team setup. I tried a lot of runs against Steven. I'm not missing much, just a bit more damage and I can get it done. The strategy seems good. First Flamethrower KO against Skarmory using my Crobat against Claydol's Earthquake. But even Agron barely survives the Surf. And the hardest Pokemon to beat is perhaps Cradily. I actually don't like this Pokemon, only made bad experience with it. Ice is super effective, but needs like 3 or 4 hits to actually KO. That's way too many. Anyway, I think I level up a bit more, sit here with some rare candies and start testing the battle. I will need either an insane amount of luck or a lot of levels to beat it. This battle was so crazy. It took so many tries to figure out the exact routing and so many things could go wrong. But here's my best shot so far. I use Boots against Skarmory and use Flamethrower. Spikes ramp up a bit, but it is just barely into Full Restore range. Just 2 more Flamethrower and the first Pokemon is down. Now comes Claydol and I switch into Cappy, negating Earthquake. Shadow Ball deals about half and Ancient Power deals a good amount as well. Another Shadow Ball does not KO, like 1 HP remaining, and Light Screen is set up. Very bad for the next Pokemon. Since a Full Restore was already used, Claydol goes down. Now comes my nemesis, Cradily. This one can go wrong on so many levels. I use Steel Wing and need 2 for an easy setup KO, but the second one pushed it into Full Restore range. I was sweating quite a bit because Steel Wing can miss and Ancient Power could get some boosts, and the battle would be over on the spot. But I got lucky and it didn't matter. It got into the right position and Cappy went down. No Shorts can come in and KO Cradily with a single Ice Beam. That was very intense for me. Steven chooses Agron next. The reason is that it has Thunder, but Surf KOs in 1 hit quite easily, so no big deal. Here comes a big problem. Steven's ace Metagross. I switch into Dress. I don't need it for this fight and it goes down in 1 Earthquake critical hit. That is actually fine. I use Skirt next and use Leech Seed to get passive damage going. But Psychic is used and removes my Roselia immediately. Now it's in Glove's hands to turn the tide of battle using Yawn. Earthquake puts Glove directly into the red, but that's actually fine. Water Pulse for some very low amount of damage, and then my Swalot goes down. I can now get Boots back into battle and use Earthquake, which critical hits. That was not necessary, but saves a lot of time. Last Pokemon is Armaldo, and Flamethrower does a bit below half, but Ancient Power hits and boosts. I was so mad you can't imagine it, but I keep going, maybe it can work out. Slash hits and Boots barely survives. I didn't know what to do, but put it into healing range, there was no other way. Boots goes down and everything lies in Short's hands. Full Restore was used and served us over half. I was so confused because of the boost. I thought it wouldn't be enough, but a second one and Armaldo goes down even after getting a boost. That battle was completely insane. I never thought it would took me so long to finish it, but Steven is defeated and I win. The run was amazing until the last battle and I had a lot of fun with only poison types. It was way easier than I first expected it to be, but that happens sometimes. Of course, Shorts was a big winning play at the end, but Boots was the best asset in the early game I could have imagined. Back to the question, can I beat Pokemon Sapphire with just poison type Pokemon? Yes I can. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions or have any advice for the run, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching and I see you in the next one.